The Pixel 4, reviewer tested, partially approved, fortified with 1 million vitamins and minerals as part of this complete Android police podcast breakfast.
It's Wednesday, October 23rd. Welcome. I'm Cody Toombs alongside Ryan Hager, here to talk about the week in Android news up to this point. We have our Pixel 4 and 4 XL reviews up right now. We've spent the last several shows talking about these phones, and let's be honest, we're going to keep talking about them for a while to come. But you can go read that on androidpolice.com right now. And I totally just screwed the script, but that's okay.
It's a guideline. It's not we don't have to stick to it.
Yeah, I know.
So,
but we're making it fun for Jules to edit.
Yeah, we will. This is much better. So let's talk about Android version adoption rates. So the last time, you may remember, Cody, the last time Google published the distribution dashboard numbers for the Android platform as a whole was back in May, when they kind of published them out of the blue. That was just before I/O or just during I/O, after we'd been complaining to them for months that we hadn't gotten to see them. And obviously, there was a big difference, but that was the first time we got to see any platform distribution numbers since last year. And I'm kind of salty about that. And I know you're kind of salty about that, because we base a lot of our interpretation on how well updates are doing and the deployment, and how well pixels are selling, a bunch of different stuff on how these numbers grow in the short term, just after the Pixel launch, in the long term, after updates land, just to give us a sense of, are people buying new phones? Are they getting updates? And well, today, Google published a graph showing the adoption rates of Oreo versus Pi. And there's pretty stark difference in the numbers that they showed. It looks like that Pi is actually being picked up at about twice the rate that Oreo was. And the big takeaway that Google is pushing as far as these numbers, and which I agree based on what we've seen, is that the difference has to do with treble, which is making the delivery of updates even easier for OEMs, and just increasing how quickly we see later versions of Android land. Part of the reason for that, of course, being that treble was introduced with Oreo, so we didn't see the benefits until Pi. And since we're talking about a yearly update that's being compared, it takes years to see. So here we are 2 years on from the release of treble, and we finally get to see what it's doing. And so far, it looks pretty good.
It does. They've, at this stage, they're claiming that they've more than doubled the adoption rate, which, when you're looking at numbers like that, it's definitely optimism inspiring. But it's a little unfortunate that we're not seeing a little bit more numbers in terms of how older versions are dropping off.
Yeah. There's a lack of context in the data that's provided that we would have gotten from the platform numbers that I'm salty we don't get anymore.
Yeah, and developers, for what it's worth, have also been pretty justifiably angry about this, because at one point, Android Studio itself actually showed that distribution chart, giving context to what version you could target to get what percentage of the user base. And they haven't had those numbers for a long time either.
I think you can still get platform distribution numbers for your own app, though, right? But you can't see the generalized ones. Yeah,
exactly. So you don't have any guidance on what the actual landscape is. You only get your guidance if you're an active developer. And to be fair, you're also only going to get context based on your existing audience, which can be a little misleading if maybe you already target older devices or only newer devices.
And you've got people like me who keep turning on their donut-powered phones to throw off the numbers every month. So
you're an evil human being, Ryan.
I know. But yeah, it's making a big difference. Do we think it's going to keep making a difference here when it becomes to Project Mainline as well? Because now we've got even more components. I know we don't want to talk about Android's dirty F word before someone spins off a stale editorial on the subject yet again. But between treble and Project Mainline, I think we've got a pretty good future here going in terms of decoupling Android updates from the OEMs who are never going to do anything about it.
Yeah, no, this is moving in the right direction for sure, and it shows real promise that we're going to get away from the days when we see Apple complaining or making fun of Android for not being able to deliver updates in anything resembling a timely manner. At this stage, we're we're actually going to see pretty good continuation for current devices. Now, whether or not this actually means phones are going to get longer support cycles, I kind of doubt that. But at the very least, we shouldn't be hearing about phones getting an update, let's say 9 months after release. Now, we should be looking at more theoretically, we should be looking at closer to at worst case scenarios like 1 or 2 months, maybe 3 for very special cases where a device actually requires much more hands-on uh, management, so to speak.
Unless you're LG.
Yeah, well, only so much can be done.
So what do you think? I think that we could even see these adoption rates improve because treble was first imposed. It was actually imposed as a requirement. Am I misremembering this? When Oreo landed, every device that targeted Oreo and forward had to include treble support, right?
I believe that's correct.
I think that's the case. So like we're seeing just the very beginnings of the Oreo to Pi jump of what treble will do as more people replace older devices because we're up on 2 years here now out from Oreo. As more people are replacing their older devices, we're going to see more devices with treble land. So this doubling in adoption rate could be even faster in the future.
Yeah, it would be great if we could see. What I'd like to actually hear is if we could reach a point where every device that comes out can reliably get these updates. And instead of having actual flat numbers, I'd love to see the point where we could have just a clear percentage, literally just 80% of all devices are reaching the latest version or whatever within a month. Like if we could hear something like that, that's where we're talking success.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, because what do we have right now with Android 10? We've got pretty good adoption rates. We've already got OnePlus phones coming out launching with Android 10. We've seen Xiaomi had a day one update for one of their phones. Essential, I mean, as always, has been updating theirs. A couple of other OEMs, I feel like, have it on the roadmap. There was some HMD Global Nokia phones that are supposed to be getting it before the end of the year already. So, like, it's pretty good. It's already like we're rolling out faster just now in terms of 10 than I think I remembered for Pi.
Yeah, it makes you think back to the days of like ice cream sandwich updates and really anything going back to the hollow days, because you would see OEMs putting out timelines and launch schedules that would literally be 9 months to a year out. I very specifically remember HTC having a phone they planned on updating 12 months later.
I mean,
And
did HTC just release a phone with Oreo?
I know that is a little painful.
Yeah.
But yeah, now that we're looking at, hey, we're a few weeks away from some OEMs getting fully caught up. That's a stark difference to what we used to see. And that's fantastic.
It's making a big difference.
So, in the meantime, if you've been on your phone all day today and the day before and the day before that, Google has a half dozen new apps for you to manage your digital well-being. There's basically a collection of apps that, for lack of a better way to put it, kind of gamify your experience and sort of discourage you from overusing your phone. Uh, these include Unlock Clock, which is a live wallpaper that features a counter on the number of times you've unlocked your phone. A game called We Flip that basically brings together a group of people and everyone has to flip their phone over, screen down, and as notifications pour in and give you reasons that you're supposed to look, the first person to flip their phone back over to look, they lose. There's Postbox, which takes all of your notifications and groups them into bundles that will be shown to you only up to 4 times per day. There are 2 different home screen replacements, one called Morph, which basically segments all of your stuff into little buckets. So think work, travel, home, anything like that. So as you go to different locations, if you hit different times of day, it'll switch between these home screens and give you just what you need for those settings. The other one is called Desert Island, where you literally just pick 7 apps and those are the only ones that live on your home screen. You can still access everything on your phone, but those are the 7 that are right there in front of you. And it'll keep track of the metrics for how many times you've opened those apps, and basically digital well-being stuff. It'll always just know what you're doing. And finally, there's paper phone, which lets you effectively print kind of like a daily record of what it is you're going to be doing, and you're supposed to refer to that instead of going through different screens on your phone. So it's supposed to be a little bit more efficient access to information while also keeping you from getting distracted by other things an app might offer when you go to look up that information. So I you and I, obviously, we write for a site that is focused on phones. We can't really get away with using this kind of stuff in our daily lives, not to the extent that these apps are intended. But when I read stuff like this, it all sounds clever. It sounds interesting, but at the same time, it starts sounding to me a little bit like dieting. You know how
Fatty.
you're told that you can't eat something and it just makes you hungrier?
Yeah.
That's what I hear when I look at some of these.
And some of it has the feeling of kind of like a fad. Like, the fad diets where we're all trying this and we're all trying this. We just got a list of fads all at once. I don't know. I kind of like the idea, especially for the paper phone one. Like, that sounds like it could be interesting, giving you something quick to refer to throughout the day rather than your phone for certain things. That'd be kind of nice.
Yeah, that one, I'll grant you that one. That's definitely one of the better in the group. I think actually it's the one that truly actually adds efficiency and takes away your reason to get caught up in other stuff.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
pretty. Have you seen it? Look at the screenshots. It's attractive.
yeah, it's actually a really well designed or not. Sorry, I shouldn't call it concept, but it follows a good design principle. It's
It looks like
clear,
an Apple app.
readable.
Looks like something on iOS. Like it's much more attractive than you usually see out of Android stuff.
To be
I
fair, I think you're actually not giving it enough credit. This looks
Ooh,
Yeah, this looks better than what a lot of Apple apps do. I forget the name of this design style, but it's something that's been around for a while, and it just doesn't really get used enough. Um, but yeah,
it looks good.
it looks really nice. I'm more caught up on stuff like We Flip. I think that one is kind of the perfect example of where some of this stuff actually pushes past the boundaries and might teach bad habits to people. Sort of the ignoring your phone even when you shouldn't sort of thing.
I don't know.
We've
I
all
can think
heard
it's
stories about
yeah.
people ignoring their phone when they got like critical calls, all because they were trying to avoid using it at all cost.
I mean, that's always a risk if you're actively avoiding it and you see the notification comes in, whatever. But like, have you ever gone to a dinner party where everyone agrees to put their phone in the middle of the table, and sometimes you
Yeah.
try to impose an additional restriction to encourage people not to look at their phone? Like the first one to look at their phone loses. This gives you a way to enforce that. So if someone sneaks off the bathroom, the other person can't grab a quick glance because you've got the phones keeping track of who looks when. So I like the idea for that.
Well, the classic one was whoever looks at their phone first pays for the whole meal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is a method of enforcement. It's the referee that lets you keep the rules going. I like that.
Yeah. So interesting stuff, but I think it's one of those things you have to definitely use in a measured way. And I agree, it is very fatty right now, but I think it's a starting point, and one of these days things will get better as developers find new ways to use this stuff.
Yeah, I really like the idea of the paper phone one. I think that if that could be expanded a little more, I mean, granted, I haven't played with it, so I don't really know what to expect. But getting like a paper briefing of the day printed out that I can grab and put it in my pocket next to my phone, so I can grab it instead of my phone. I really like the idea of that, like, a lot. That sounds really nice.
Yeah, and it's funny to me because it almost doesn't sound like a digital well-being app so much as just a great idea for an app.
Yeah, it's a great idea. On that note, other great ideas: subscribing. to the Android Police podcast on Twitch. Android Police is live on Twitch 4 times a week, and we can't be here without your support. So whether you listen to our podcast, watch our Q&A live, give us bits, or subscribe to us, thanks for helping do what we do. If you aren't already contributing to us and you would like to get a special emoji of me, as well as extra entries into our giveaways, you should head to twitch.tv/Android Police. Tiers start at just $5 a month, but if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe to us for free, and Amazon will still give us the money for it. All the details you need are on twitch.tv/Android Police. We're now going to talk about LG. We've had little reason to talk about LG this year, but there could be a bit of pity involved when we chose this particular story. So the LG G8X is on pre-orders for October 25th, with sales starting November 1st. So in 2 days, you'll be able to order LG's. Is it just the G8X? Is it G8X Think Pro? I don't know how many extra names they added on the end this time. In any event, it's just an updated G8 with a modified, I see in brackets here, weaker camera setup, and it should come with a complimentary dual display case, which is, if you remember the V50 that had that folding case that gave you a pseudo folding design with 2 different screens. It has an MSRP of $700, but AT&T is selling it for $300 on a 30-month payment plan, and it's only giving the dual display case for free to Adeline customers. Otherwise, that's another $200 through AT&T. Sprint and Amazon are also on the retail roster. I don't think if we know about promotional details regarding them yet. So, Cody, what would it take for you to buy the G8X?
To buy it? Well, I value my money a little too much for that, but I gotta admit, it would at least be fun to try out. This is one of those things where you really don't know how useful it is until you could spend a good week or so just actually holding it and using it and trying what this dual display build can actually give you. That being said, even at 300, assuming you're willing to sign up for the 30-month plan and all that stuff, even at 300, that seems a little steep if you don't know really what you're getting.
Yeah.
But I don't know. At the same time, cheers to LG for trying this, and obviously they managed to get one phone out doing this, and now they're trying it with a second. So maybe people who tried it enjoyed it. I don't know. I honestly haven't heard from anyone.
So the only person I spoke to who used one of the previous ones was Steven, because Steven has a weird tolerance of LG devices. I think it's probably the best way of putting that. And he got to play with the dual screen LG V whatever 50X50, something like that. And he liked it. He thought that, I think he said that it was a cost-cutting measure that they had, because the previous one, it had 2 of the same screen, right? Can't remember. But
I think that sounds right.
Yeah, that was expressed as a clear cost-cutting measure at the time. And yeah, they were no-notch screens on the V50, but the G8X, you have 2 notched screens, which, okay. But yeah.
Yeah, so basically there's a camera in the notch on one of them. It's your typical teardrop notch design. The other, or the second display that's part of the case, that one has literally a fake notch. It's just there for symmetry.
Yeah, well, and they probably just wanted to use the same screen twice. I'm sure that they were able to secure they wanted them to match, I bet. So they're like, oh, we'll use the same screen. So one of them's not like wildly different. You don't have an IPS panel and an AMOLED panel. And to make sure, you're going to have closer color calibration. There'll be smaller variance between 2 different panels of the same type rather than 2 totally different screens. So I'm sure there's a logic behind it. But when you have a notch, it just looks weird. It's wrong. It feels wrong.
Yeah, well, especially if you know outright that it's actually just not meant to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is all very awkward and strange, but we're kind of getting used to that from LG.
little bit.
LG is now in that place that HTC kind of was a while back, where there were decisions made. They didn't necessarily really make any sense. But at the same time, if you really tried, you could kind of just rationalize them. And they started to sound not crazy the more you talk about it.
And to a certain degree, like they say, necessity is the mother of invention. LG needs a phone to sell because they're going to die otherwise. They're a flailing company, a failing company. They're making bad phones. And so at least they're trying with stuff like this. They're making a dual screen folding design. They're doing this before Microsoft. Yeah, it's at least they're trying something. They're doing something new and different. This isn't just the same black slab everybody else is pumping out. It's interesting. They're doing something.
Well, to be fair, LG and HTC are in very different situations. We were saying all these same things about HTC a few years ago. LG, on the other hand, this is still a phone division of a company that makes appliances and
Yeah.
TVs and a bunch of other stuff. So they can still afford to lose money for a number of years without actually shutting down their phone division.
You can only do it for so long, though. Look at Sony. Sony had to restructure things under a single consumer electronics division to try to shore up their failing phone company.
Yeah, that's true. But that being said, it really then just becomes like, how can you lose money more efficiently?
Yeah, that's true.
And yeah, LG probably just needs to find ways to not lose as much while still staying in the market.
Yeah, and I think that they can probably pull it off, especially if they're willing to like do this spaghetti on the wall. What sticks? They've, like you said, they've got the cash to burn. They've proven through the last like year and a half they definitely have the cash to burn. Otherwise, they wouldn't still be doing this. And they keep trying with this dual screen case. Like eventually, they might stumble upon something that works. I'm anticipating and very much looking forward to Microsoft's dual screen design. So like it could be cool if they're able to execute something in a similar way.
Yeah, this is again. I mean, I say this all the time. I always look forward to seeing companies trying new and different things. This is not as offensive as some of the other previous attempts, but it's not. It's not really solving necessarily too many problems yet. It seems like a niche solution, which is good for some, but probably not great for most.
Yeah.
But that being said, let's wrap things up a little bit with some breakfast. Some Pixel 4 pre orders in the UK have shipped out, and they are receiving cereal box packaging. It's basically a cereal bowl featuring 3D cubes that don't really look like marshmallows, but they have the Google colors in kind of a weird way. Um, they include, very unfortunately, a sticker inside that says unlimited online storage with Google Photos,
Not in
which,
original quality.
yep, is totally irritating a lot of people, justifiably so, kind
Yeah.
of rubbing salt in the wounds because it's just a great reminder that you don't actually get original quality backups. You're only getting unlimited uh uh whatever they were calling it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, but yeah, it's a cute, neat thing that they're doing as like a perk for people who are ordering. And I believe it's only going out to people who ordered the orange phone. Am I correct on that?
I don't actually know the details of that. I saw 9 to 5 Google's excellent and hilarious serial review that everybody should check out. That was pretty funny. But you might be right. No, it looks like there's at least one here, one with the white. So
Okay.
it doesn't seem to be tied to a specific color.
All right. But Google has done a number of these kind of neat, just neat promotional things that they send out kind of as a surprise to pre-orders. It's happened with a few other products in the past. This is certainly kind of a cool idea. Just very unfortunate that they chose the specific sticker that they did.
Yeah.
So, what do you eat for breakfast?
Oh man. Oh man. You asked that intentionally, didn't you? You know. You know.
I know.
So I am team full hot breakfast. I usually do like couple strips of bacon, some eggs, some kimchi, some like a half a sliced avocado, maybe some olives or some sliced tomatoes. That's usually my breakfast. I cook every morning. Couple cups of nice strong coffee.
Not bad.
I feel terrible if I don't cook like an actual warm, good breakfast every morning. Ruins the whole day. I don't know why.
Well, all right. I have terrible breakfast habits, so we're not going to totally go into those though. But a lot of that does have to do with the fact that I don't really maintain a sleeping schedule.
That's
It's
true.
my way.
This could be like the middle of the afternoon or your morning. This is your morning, isn't it? You woke up like an hour ago, didn't you?
2 hours.
Okay.
Though to be fair, that's only because I got 2 telemarketer calls in a row. So
I figured it was just because there's no window in the teardown closet.
There is. It's just blocked off.
Yeah. We can't have you looking outside, Cody.
Yeah, the outside is a special place. I remember it fondly. But on that note, I'll let you close it up. Or do we have any Q&A? It looks like yes, no.
We got one question. Does the Pixel 4 have flip to I've got the Pixel 4. I've never used. I was never a big fan of flip to so I actually don't even know how I would go about testing that. But
I think it's one of those things you just when a call comes in, you turn your phone over.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm mistaken because I admittedly I don't use it either. It's never been a
I just
feature
don't
I
want to
was
scratch my
interested in.
screen. But to my understanding, it should still have it. I don't know why they would have removed it because just use the proximity detector, right? So I would imagine it does, but I don't know. I will have to test that.
Yeah. And you'd think these are all details that might appear in our review. But I kind of doubt this one does, but
I don't know if we tested that. You'd have to check.
yeah. But that being said, if you haven't already looked at it, our review is up and you definitely should read it. So now for real though, I'll let you close out.
So feel free to connect with us anytime. We're live 4 times a week on twitch.tv/AndroidPolice. All the stories that we've talked about today can be found at androidpolice.com/podcast until the next time we have the podcast. And if you send your thoughts and suggestions to podcast@androidpolice.com, we might read them. On Twitter, I'm at Ryan Hager, RYNEHAGER. Cody is at Cody_Toombs. Which is TOOMBS. Our producer, Jules Wang, is at Point Jules, and our theme music is by Home. We're back on Friday with special guest, some gadget guy, Juan Carlos Bagnall. And have a good one.